guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my August reading wrap up. I think I did a lot better this month than I did last month because last month I think I read 5 books. I read 9 books this month, 3 thrillers, 1 fantasy, 4 romance, and 1 literary fiction. This month was particularly busy for me as well. I was finishing my last month of nursing school and I was doing a lot of moving around. There's back-to-back trips that I went on, so that's that. I feel like I could have done a lot better, but September, I feel like it's gonna be my month. I just uploaded my last summer reading vlog. It's this video up here. If you haven't watched it, you should definitely go watch it. I'm very sad that summertime is over, but fall is around the corner, so I'm very excited for that. The first book I read in August is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I can't pronounce names properly. I was so excited about this book because I love true crime. I am always watching true crime whenever I have free time. This book takes place during the late 1800s when the actual Jack the Ripper famous serial killer was active, and the book is basically based on that story and I absolutely love it. Before I read this book, I watched a documentary about Jack the Ripper and there were so many real evidence or real situations that the author included in this book, like the letters. The Hey Boss letter or From Hell letter is also included in this book. This book follows our main character named Aubrey Rose Wadsworth. She is from a very affluent family. Her father's a lord, I think, and she's just part of the higher class. She's expected to just stay at home, practice her etiquette and manners with her aunt, but she has this weird fascination and interest in the human body, so she secretly goes to her uncle's laboratory because the uncle does the autopsies for the town. It's a small town and all the bodies that they find dead usually go to him for investigation and stuff like that. And this is all behind her father's back because her father would not approve. Suddenly this murderer starts targeting women, specifically prostitutes, and basically tortures them and displays them in public. Like, there's very specific things that the serial killer does to all his victims and they all know it's one person doing it. It says in the back, he murdered women in cold blood, he terrorized an entire city, he haunted those of us who hunted him down, but despite all these horrors, in the end I could not deny it. I was the girl who loved the Ripper. That caught me, that hooked me. It's like an enemies to lovers. The plot twist at the end I did not see coming. I was suspicious of this one person from the very start because he's very suspicious. Like, all the things that he knows is very impressive. I just was like, yeah, this is it. But if I know what's gonna happen right from the beginning of the book, is it really what's gonna happen? And no, it wasn't. The thing I really liked about this book, like I said, is the true crime aspect, so I gave it a 4 stars. The reason why I took 1 star away is that this book uses like older language, older English, if you know what I mean. It's written as if I was reading this in the late 1800s, and that confused me a little bit because I'm like, what does that even mean? It took a little bit for me to understand some of the lingo, but I eventually got it. Some of the parts in here where she plays detective and tries to figure out who the killer is, because this case is very tangled with her family, so she wanted to see and catch whoever's doing it. I feel like some of the parts where she's looking for clues is just very dragged on and I feel like it wasn't really necessary, but it was still good. I definitely would see myself reading the other books in the series if I'm in the mood. The next book I read, I absolutely love this book. I read it in one of my reading vlogs. I'll put it up here. It is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I don't know why I waited so long to read this book. I've had it for maybe a few months, but I just picked it up on a random day in August. I gave it 6 stars. If you haven't read this, what are you doing? Everyone and their mother has read this book. If you don't already know what this is about, in this world there's a plague centuries ago, I think. I don't know. A long time ago, and it gave some people powers and they're called elites. However, not everyone got powers, and those who didn't get powers are called the ordinaries, and this is where our main character Peyton Gray comes along. She doesn't have powers. Ordinaries are basically banished from this kingdom because the king wants his kingdom to be made of the strongest of the strong. I don't know. Just people with powers. Peyton has been posing as like a psychic. She lives by herself and her best friend on the street. She is an excellent and skilled fighter and thief. And one day she stumbles upon the Prince Kai, and saves his life. And from there she's thrown into the Purging Trials, which is basically a game for people to show off their powers. And it's giving very like Hunger Games Divergent vibes, and I love that. I loved those two books. And during this purging trial, she basically has to not get caught of being an ordinary and fool people that she is a psychic, and she's very skilled. I was like, how did she even know that? Like, she is like pretending to read people's mind, but she actually is like just like from observation alone. But then there's like this little love triangle going on. I was shocked because I was like, yeah, it's Peyton and Kai, but then the older brother is also a little bit interested, and I was like, this is taking a turn, and I love it. I loved the purging trials itself, but also the romance in this book. So excited to read the next book. I already have it. And you're wondering, Shelly, what are you wearing? Well, let me tell you, I am wearing the Oodie, specifically in this bulldog print. I'd like to thank the Oodie team and the HeyInfluencer team for sending me this Oodie. I was having a hard time choosing which one I wanted, but then I saw this, and it's a bulldog with a French hat. So I'm like, French bulldog, and that's my dream dog. That's how I chose which one I got. And it is so cozy. It's almost fall time. It's getting cold. Like I said, I moved up north and it gets very, very cold here, and I haven't taken this off since I got it. I should probably wash it. It is the perfect oversized hoodie. It has a big pocket in the front where I keep everything. My snacks, my phone. I can fit a book in here. Perfect. I can walk around hands-free. And it is so soft and fluffy in the inside. It's a blanket and a hoodie in one, and I love both things. I'm gonna be living in this for all of the fall and winter, so if you see me in this over and over in my videos, please just ignore it. If you want to get yourself a pair, you can use my code ShellyKaringle15 for 15% off. Everything will be linked down below, so you should go get one. You will not regret it. Thank you again to the Oodie and to the HeyInfluencers for sending me this hoodie. I will cherish it for the rest of my life. Now getting back to this video, the next book I read in August is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armaz. This book, I'm just gonna say it now, was kind of a little bit of a letdown for me. I thought I was gonna love it because of the way people raved about it on the internet. This book follows two characters, Catalina Martin and Aaron Blackford. Catalina just went through a breakup, very big breakup. The whole family was involved. The family's concerned about her, and now her sister is getting married. She's the maid of honor, and her ex is the groom's best man because they're brothers. Now her family's worrying, what if she can't handle being in the wedding because the ex is there, and the ex is in fact engaged to someone else and the fiance will be there. So, you know, everyone's freaking out, but then she tells this lie that she is in fact in a relationship, and happy relationship, and is willing to bring the current boyfriend to the wedding for the family to meet. But there's only one problem. That boyfriend does not exist. So Catalina is desperate to find someone. She even considered an escort, but that didn't work. And then Aaron Blackford, who she hates with a passion, comes in to help, but then she's like, offers to help, but she refuses. In the back it says, a wedding in Spain, an infuriating man, 3 days to convince her family that she's actually in love. So there's a fake dating trope here, a one-bed trope, which I loved. But my thoughts on this book. At first, I did not like the main character. Catalina was very unlikable. She just gave like such pick-me vibes and kept rejecting Aaron over like something that happened so long ago. She holds on to a grudge. For real. Does not let it go. And he's just trying to help, and she's so mean. I just didn't like that. And then she's like, why are you helping me? Is this a game for you? What are you gonna get out of this? Why me? Why did you pick me? She was like that for the first half of the book, and I could not stand it. I almost DNF'd it, but Aaron made me stay. He's the type of guy who keeps everything inside, acts like a douchebag. Oops, sorry. Acts like he doesn't want to be around her, but deep inside he is in love and loves her, but can't show it. But about like halfway through the book, they finally go to Spain, and that's when I loved it. Catalina was much more likable. I feel like she was more herself, even though they were this fake dating game, and there was a one-bed trope, and I loved that. I ended up giving this, I think, a 3.5 stars. The next book was even more of a disappointment because I was expecting so much in this book, and that is Meet Me by the Lake by Carly Fortune. I read Every Summer After, I think a few weeks before this one, and I absolutely loved it. I love the childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance, 6-star read. This one, I don't know, it was just not giving. This one is about Fern Burbanks and Will Baxter. This book has the past and present time, and long story short, Fern is done school, I think. She graduated and she's moving back home, but she doesn't want to. She wants to stay in the city because she feels like her life is in the city, but she doesn't really have a choice. She meets Will, I think the last few days that she's there, and they basically go on the Grand Toronto tour. Will takes Fern around Toronto and like the cool spots to be in and places to see, and they basically spend 24 hours together and fall in love, I think, because like nothing happened in the past portion of the book. They were just hanging out, nothing happened. Unlike Every Summer After, like everything happened. They were falling in love, all that in the past, but this one they were just kind of hanging out. And the thing I didn't like about it is that they kept like being very flirty even though they both had partners. Will was straight up with it. He told Fern that he had a girlfriend, but that Fern kind of ignored that, avoided telling Will that detail. And then after their day together, they make a plan to meet each other again the next year at Fern's mom's resort. Her mom owns a resort, but then he didn't show up. Fern's mom suddenly passes away from a car crash, and she's left to basically run this resort by herself. It's not going well because one, she doesn't want to be there, it feels like it's not her life, and two, she's young, she doesn't know anything about running a business. But then Will shows up 10 years later and was like, yeah, I'm here to help. I gave this book a 2.5 stars. I just didn't feel connected to the characters. I think they had a little bit of chemistry in the past, but it's just they were both taken. It was wrong. In the present tense, I just didn't feel a connection. Didn't really feel chemistry between them. I just didn't feel that I knew them, but there was tension. But yeah, those are my thoughts for that. Hey guys, I'm currently editing this video early in the morning because I have to get it up. But I forgot to include the 2 books I read on Kindle Unlimited. The first book was The Housemaid's Secret, I believe. That's the second book in the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. And this one follows the same main character in the first book, Millie. She has moved on from the occurrences in the first book and is living her life in the city and has her own little apartment. She starts working for this rich couple and there's some weird things going on. She's told to mind her own business, but you know Millie, she can't do that. So she gets herself into this big situation and it's crazy. Things go down, and Frida McFadden usually like just shocks you with a plot twist, but I saw the main plot twist from a mile away. This one character was very suspicious. I kept doubting myself because I'm like, no, Frida McFadden is not like this. She's gonna blow my mind near the end, but I saw that one coming. Just to make this short, I gave that book a 4 stars. It was fast-paced, entertaining. Yeah, so I love that book. And then the next book is also by Frida McFadden. I also read it during my shifts at the hospital, and that is The Inmate. The Inmate, this one was shocking, like a typical Frida McFadden book that shocked me near the end with the plot twist. This book is about a nurse practitioner named Brooke Sullivan. She moved back home with her child, and she decided to take a job at a prison. At this prison, one of the inmates is her ex-boyfriend, and throw back to the past, she's the reason why he's in jail. One night, they had a party at his house because his mom was not home, and things went down, and people were killed. She testified against him because he tried to kill her. Then now in the future, she's like, is he really the one who did that? Is he the one who tried to kill me? It was dark, I didn't know. There's a lot of back and forth. I didn't really like that about the main character. That's why I gave it a 4 star instead of a 5 star. It was fast-paced, entertaining, but the characters' indecisiveness just kind of bothered me because it did have some consequences for other people. Yeah, that's the quick explanation of that book. The epilogue, she can write a spin-off book just based on the epilogue. I was sitting there at my desk at the hospital and I'm like, what did I just read? And don't worry, it was during a night shift. My patients were sleeping and I had time. Anyways, let's get back into the video. The next book I read a lot better. Change of genre a little bit. This is the only literary fiction I read in the month of August, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six. And I know I feel like I'm late. Everyone's read this already. This was a 6-star read for me. It was more like realistic than the other books I've been reading, like the rom-coms and the fantasy stuff. This was more closer to like a real life situation. If you don't already know, this book is about Daisy. Daisy is a girl coming of age in LA. She is born into this famous rich family. Her mom's a model and her dad is, I think, an artist. The book starts in the late 60s and forward. She grew up sneaking into clubs on the Sunset Strip, sleeping with rock stars, and dreaming of becoming a singer. On the other hand, The Six is a band led by Billy, and they are a boy band. I don't know what to call them. Like a rock band. Started getting famous around the same time in the 60s. And on the eve of their first tour, he finds out that his girlfriend Camila is pregnant and goes a little bit crazy with the pressure of their tour and where their future is gonna go and the impending fatherhood situation. I love this book. Daisy and Billy cross paths and their producers come up with an idea of putting them together, and that's when they really blow up. I just want to say I love Camila. Camila, I think, is my favorite character in this book. She is such a strong, independent woman. I may not agree with some of her choices in her relationship with Billy, but she was a shining star in this book. This book also talks about addiction. Daisy and Billy and other people are just dealing with addiction and how that affected their life and career and the choices that they made. This book is the first book I've read that is like an interview format or like a script format, and I don't know, it was just like very refreshing and eye-opening, but I rated this a 6-star. The next book I read, probably one of my most anticipated reads this summer, is A Funny Story by Emily Henry. Love this book cover, look how beautiful. This book made me laugh so much. This book is about Daphne. Daphne is dating this guy named Peter. They're engaged, but then on the night of his bachelor party, he comes home and tells her that the wedding's off and that he is going away with his childhood best friend named Petra because he feels that she's the love of his life. So like that sucks for Daphne. She ends up living with Petra's ex named Miles because she can't find a place to live. It's just weird, like living with your ex's girlfriend's ex. That's weird. At first they don't really acknowledge each other because they're both heartbroken. People they both loved and thought they were gonna marry and spend the rest of their life with are now together. But then one day they kind of bond with their shared trauma and end up getting along, going out, having fun. When they get home one night, they see an invitation to Peter and Petra's wedding. Like, they got big while doing that. They're brave. The audacity of sending that invitation, knowing what they did to these people, like that's just crazy. And then, you know, things happen, feelings are involved, they end up hanging out more and spending time with each other, and also pretending to be dating each other because she accidentally told Peter, her ex, that she's dating Miles now. So that's all I'm gonna say. It's a really good book. If you haven't read it, you should read it. I rated it, I think, a 4.5 stars. The last book I read, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and I'm just gonna say it now that I gave this a 6-star. I don't know what Abby Jimenez puts in her books. It's just addicting. This is the third book in the Part of Your World series. I rated Part of Your World and Yours Truly both 6 stars, and this one I think is my favorite. And this cover just reminds you of summer. This book also takes place in the same world as Part of Your World and Yours Truly. That's why I just like loved it so much, because all the other characters made an appearance and it's just like a full circle moment for me. It was just a full circle moment for some of the characters. I just loved it. This book is about Emma and Justin. Emma is a travel nurse. Love it. She travels with her best friend. I want to do that one day. Justin is, I think, a software engineer. He has a Reddit thread that has gone viral about being love's good luck charm. They have this curse in common where they date people, and after they break up, those people go on to find their soulmates and the people they marry. So Emma hits him up one time on Reddit and starts talking to him, and they form a plan. The plan was that if they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Easy, right? Only Justin wasn't supposed to be unbelievably cute and hilarious. Emma and her best friend end up picking up an assignment in the town where Justin is and works at the Ryum hospital where Alexis and Brianna used to work. The main characters in the last 2 books. There's so many other characters that come in this book from the other books, like Neil, Benny, Brianna, Alexis, and Daniel are all in here, and I just love it. Aside from them dating each other, there's also things going on in their personal life. Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings because the mom is going to jail. I don't really know what else to say about this book. It's amazing. You should go read it. I rated it a 6-star. Writing was phenomenal. The dual point of view, brilliant. I love it. I got to know both characters. There's definitely a lot of chemistry there. And that's the end of it. That's all the books I read in August. Definitely had some books that disappointed me and didn't live up to the hype, but there was just amazing books that I found this month. I love it. I love reading. That's all. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to use my code ShellyKaringle15 to get 15% off your hoodie order. You should get it because look how cute. This is a bulldog eating a pancake. I love it. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope I see you in the next video.